But I think the best thing about the action in this film for me was that it wasn't simply, oh, it's a John Wick fight scene, but we're going to take John out and put Eve in here. Over the last 10 years, one of the most popular action franchises has become John Wick, and a large part of that is, of course, the main actor Keanu Reeves as John Wick himself. So as you can imagine, when they announced they were doing a spin-off film where he was not going to be the main character, I was curious, but also extremely skeptical. If someone came up to me and told me that they were making a film set in the John Wick franchise, but a woman was the main character and she was the assassin this time around, I think this movie is almost the best version of that premise because I'm very happy to say that this movie is fantastic. It's a great action film. Ana de Armas as our main character, Eve Macaro, is very, very, very good inside the film. I think that they wrote her very well in how they show her story from when she's a little girl and she's helpless, like almost helpless, where her dad is protecting her and her dad is unfortunately killed by the villains of the movie, and how she works her way up through the underworld, whether it's receiving help from Winston, Ian McShane's character, who returns again in this film, and becoming a part of the Ballerina school, and the dynamics of her friendships that she has, the enemies that she has, and what she has to do to prove herself in her training. I thought that they did that very well. And of course, when she does get going in her actual mission, it's really, really good. And I think that they handled all the fight scenes, all the action sequences almost perfectly, except for one thing that I will complain about in a bit here in this video. And of course, this is a John Wick movie, so of course, John Wick does show up every now and then inside the film, as this movie does take place around the same time frame of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. And I think that the movie does slow down a bit, like when he does show up. I think that they handled him being in the movie a lot better than I was expecting. They didn't overly rely on him being in the film, but when he does show up, it is a very good scene, because there is a scene where he is sent to kill Eve Macaro, Ana de Armas' character, and he doesn't want to kill her, and she tries to fight back. And even though we've seen Eve kill a bunch of people throughout the movie up until this point, when she goes up against John Wick himself, we see the differences of experience, strength, and skill, and how they're a bit smarter in the way that they handled that. So I thought that that scene was really good. So I didn't really have a problem with the way that they used John Wick inside of this film. My problem does happen to be with the villain of the movie. I think the Chancellor, he's a very, almost like very well done bad guy. From the very beginning of the film, he is the leader of this cult offshoot tribe of people that are isolated. They're connected to the High Table and the Mafia, like in some way it's hinted at, but they're not the High Table, they're their own thing. And even when you get to their main hub, you think that you're looking at all these like innocent villagers that want nothing to do with the action that's going on, but then when the Chancellor gives the order, it becomes this hive mind of people that are teaming up against our main character, and I think the movie did a great job at showing that. That is to say, I think they could have thought of a more interesting and better way to kill him, because once again, we have a John Wick villain who is killed by getting shot in the face. The entire movie, we have these very good, very well done action sequences, and to kill our main villain, we resort to something that's been done multiple times in the franchise before. I think they could have done a better job of that. But besides that, the Chancellor is probably the second best bad guy in the entire franchise. And again, this is a John Wick film. All of the action sequences were awesome. There was never a time when I was watching any of the action sequences where I felt like let's speed it up, let's get on with it. Every single one of them is really good. The opening scene where Eve's father has to protect her and he's fighting against the invading forces of I'll just call them the X clan, the X tribe by their mark. The first scene where Eve is set on her mission from the ballerina school, where she's set into this is the nightclub sequence, and it's this very Arctic themed nightclub where everyone is wearing winter clothes but not, and it's cold, and you can it plays with how it's very slick, and it's icy and things like that. And there's a scene in the middle of the film where she has to defend a gunsmith shop, and she gets to pick up all these weapons and use them to her advantage. And of course, the flamethrower sequence at the end of the film, after she's been fighting her way through the members of this clan in their own village. That flamethrower sequence was very, very good. The only thing I critique about it is that there were a bit too many times where they used a shot where you would see somebody shoot the flamethrower, whether it was Eve herself or her opponent who has the flamethrower, and it would go to a slow motion shot and she'd barely miss getting hit. They did that 3 or 4 times in the span of 5 minutes, and that's like, okay, we didn't have to have that repeated that many times in that short amount of time. But I think the best thing about the action in this film for me was that it wasn't simply, oh, it's a John Wick fight scene, but we're going to take John out and put Eve in here. It wasn't that. It was playing off of the skills and the experience of the character of Eve, which is a lot of weapons, a lot of shooting, which, again, John Wick does do that too, but there wasn't as much these like brute force moments where the main character gets to use her like size and strength to overcome her enemies, because Ana de Armas and the character of Eve are a lot physically smaller than a lot of the enemies that she goes up against in this film. Most of them, anyway. So we get to see her use all these different knives, flamethrowers, grenades, etc., to deal with her opponents. And it isn't simply just, oh, let's take John out and put Eve in there. And I think that was something very refreshing for me to see that, because that was one of my main concerns for this movie. But I really think they handled it quite well. From the world of John Wick, Ballerina is a great spin-off action and adventure film. It leans into what makes it different and why it is set apart from the main set of films of the franchise, but is also fully aware of the fact that it is a part of an already established universe of films. And it also, fortunately, doesn't overly rely on the franchise's key character, that being John Wick himself, and includes almost just the right amount of him inside the film. Ana de Armas is our main character, keeps us invested from beginning to end, and the action sequences revolve around her rather than simply a cut and paste from prior films. The only real problems that I think that I have with this movie is that the demise of the main villain could have been handled better, and some of the action scenes could have been tied up just a bit cleaner. But with that being said, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina gets an 8 out of 10. Hello everyone, welcome back to Movies with Michael. I hope you enjoyed this movie review, and you can show it by leaving a like on this video and comment down below what you thought about this movie. Did you love it, did you hate it, or was it right there in between? You can tell me all that down below in the comments section. And please remember, as always, to subscribe to this channel and click the notification icon to be notified about my latest videos. That's all for now, and I'll see you all next time.